If you've bought any sneakers recently, they may not be the real deal.
Like Nike. Nike 3 and Nike 5.
Exactly the same.
Footwear accounts for about 20% of the value of all counterfeit goods, in a global market worth over $500 billion and rising.
These are not real. It's fine though.
The quantity and quality of counterfeits has never been greater,
To me, these things are damn near one-to-one.
with many buyers purposefully choosing the steal
I think it's pretty close to a victimless crime.
over the real.
Let's be clear, organised crime is involved.
So why has the counterfeit market exploded? And should the big brands be worried?
My favourite pair, oh, that's so difficult. That's like asking a mother to choose her favourite child, right?
Tallulah is a self-styled sneakerhead, like millions round the world.
This pair of Jordan 4s I have, they're called Classic Greens. They're from like 2006, and it was like the first shoe that I was like, I need this in my life.
And she's lucky enough to combine her passion with her day job.
We had the Dior Jordan 1, which was like nearly £6,000. That's a shoe that a lot of sneakerheads will like never even get to like hold in their hand or see, so that was a pretty crazy moment for me.
But Tallulah is not making or selling sneakers. Her job is to sniff out the fakes.
The smell test is a part of the authentication process that we do. If I just smell this one. If there's a strong toxic smell, that would not be a good sign for us.
She works in this secret warehouse, specially set up by eBay to stop the endless flow of counterfeit products onto its platform. Everything from handbags and watches to playing cards and shoes.
So counterfeit shoes is like a daily occurrence that we see. If a shoe has just released, you know that immediately the people that make fakes are going to be straight on it.
The legal global athletic sneaker market is already worth more than $100 billion and is expected to keep growing. And when products of any kind are in such high demand, this often fuels a boom in counterfeits.
Generally, an increase in illicit trade overall leads to an increase in illicit trade, just because more trade is more opportunity for illicit trade and usually is growing the market.
Footwear has become the most seized counterfeited product in the world, accounting for nearly a quarter of all confiscated goods.
Want to know if I Wear My Kicks 49 is truly selling dead stocks? eBay checks.
eBay's authentication warehouse is part of a fight back by big brands against the growing epidemic of black market goods.
Our aim is to prevent any unauthentic items from entering the retailing network. We've so far authenticated over 1.5 million pairs of sneakers through our facility. It's a 120% increase year over year.
So what's behind this extraordinary boom in counterfeit goods? Perhaps the biggest driver has been the e-commerce revolution. For the last decade, e-commerce has been growing fast in both the legal and black markets. Between 2017 and 2019, 56% of seizures of counterfeit goods within the European Union were linked to online sales. Then came the pandemic, when e-commerce transactions and sales increased even more rapidly, making fake goods of all kinds even more accessible. Consumers used to depend on bulk shipments making their way from wholesalers and middlemen to street markets. But today, buying fakes feels a lot like buying legal products. Sites like Reddit mean you can order bespoke parcels directly from counterfeiters with just a few clicks.
Well, e-commerce completely revolutionized the business of counterfeiting. Shipments used to be made generally in large containers, 20-foot or 40-foot containers. We'd regularly seize 4,000 pieces. Since those days, shipments are sent out individually by DHL, by FedEx, by China Post.
Counterfeiters are utilizing e-commerce to further blur the line between the legal and illegal retail markets. When it comes to selling fake sneakers, some have abandoned the old tricks of the trade. Now, counterfeiters often seek customer satisfaction through transparency and honesty, purposefully using the digital sphere to advertise their counterfeiting prowess.
Online counterfeiters are incredibly tech-savvy. Online sales are their entire business. It's their bread and butter, and they need to stay ahead of the curve on technology.
Now, how much would you be prepared to fork out for a pair of used shoes?
There's another 21st century trend, common in legal retail, which is driving the boom in counterfeit sneakers, the resale market. In America alone, it is worth an estimated $2 billion a year. At the top end, investors are trading in rare, authentic sneakers, which are sold on for profits.
Well, now you can walk a mile in Kanye West shoes. The first pair of Yeezys he ever wore are going up for auction.
This pair, designed and worn by Kanye West, set a new auction record by selling for $1.8 million.
People are investing in high-value sneakers. They want something that they can put on the shelf and maybe flip as the value goes up.
It's a bit like fine wine or an art collection. This is a new version of items that people have a great deal of value in.
Brands like Nike deliberately restrict supply on certain lines to build hype and demand. This demand for rare and authentic products has created a demand for high-quality fakes. Consumers are prepared to pay good money for good fakes.
So recently we've been seeing a lot of counterfeits that they're getting a lot of the good details of the shoe.
With the value of sneakers at an all-time high, the counterfeit producers are making sneakers kind of one-to-one quality.
The likes of eBay and StockX put authentication tags on sneakers, but now the counterfeiters are even copying those tags, some more credibly than others. The city of Putian has become the global capital of sneaker counterfeit production. That's partly because Putian also produces the majority of the world's genuine sneakers, providing cover for black market production.
Did you finish all your orders before the Chinese New Year?
Illegal production has become more closely intertwined with legal production, often within the same factory. Private detective Ted Cavaras has witnessed this firsthand when filming undercover footage in factories.
It's kind of the urban landscape that you expect in China. You drive factory here, factory here, factory here, factory here.
It's also doing like Air Jordan.
How many machines do you have here?
About 500.
In China, counterfeits spawn copies of counterfeits.
This is the original, so they took apart the sample, right?
If there's a criminal group making counterfeits, quite often they'll have the number 2 or 3 in the hierarchy, just learn the business and then set up their own shop. So one counterfeiting group can give birth to 3 or 4 competitors.
Although counterfeiters can seem more like regular business people, worried about customer service and overheads, they are not always committing victimless crimes. Some counterfeit operators are also involved in more dangerous and serious criminal activities, such as human trafficking.
Let's be clear, organised crime is involved. I've very rarely had an investigation that hasn't involved some other type of crime. We investigated a group who had been exploiting Ethiopian women who had been trafficked. The Ethiopian women were being locked in rooms, forced into making counterfeit product. At night they were forced onto the streets into prostitution.
The Chinese authorities have increased efforts to crack down on black market production and sales. And there are ways investigators can use technology to catch the counterfeiters occasionally.
They want people to know that they're reputable sellers and that they have 1,000 satisfied customers. And the platforms want this as well. So there are actually tracked records of sales on a lot of these platforms showing how many products the counterfeiter has sold. This is one tool we have that we can use against the counterfeiters.
However, the sheer volume of production in China means there is little hope of closing down the supply line of fakes.
It's a basic law of economics. If there's demand, there will be supply. At a certain point, you can't really solve that. All you can do is kind of occasionally nibble at the edges and knock off certain suppliers, and then another supplier comes along, and it's sort of inevitable.
It's not China's fault, it's the demand from overseas driving this business in China. So what we have to do is look at who's buying it. We have to control the customer too, and do we do that by education or by policing?
There is no easy answer to curbing consumer demand. For brands wanting to slow down the counterfeit market, there could be a rough ride ahead.
In the end, it's like inflation. You know, if you and I start literally counterfeiting dollars or pounds, who are we really harming? But in the aggregate, it starts to inflate away the value of the dollar if we all did that. And so it's the same kind of dynamic with brands. It starts to inflate away the value of the brand, dilute the value of the brand.
Hello, I'm Tom Standage, Deputy Editor at The Economist. If you'd like to learn more about this topic, click on the link opposite. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.